Written?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So understood, right, this slide? So two important things.
Yes, sir.
Same as class name and also case sensitive. Whatever letter you are writing in small letters, you have to use the same thing, naming a file. Okay, so that you have to follow. Then, so here they are explaining how to compile the program and how to execute. Here two steps are there to compile to execute. Okay, so to compile, execute the component that is Java C, specifying the name of the source file on the command line as shown. See, when you install the Java, so I'll tell you. Um, Listen, so when you install the Java, so it may store in this way: C colon. So see, generally it is called as JDK.
Sir.
You observe the notepad, JDK, and version will be there. For example, in my system it is 1.3. So JDK 1.3 dash, and again there is a folder called as bin. So it will be like this, in this way. Okay, so once you write the program and save, so you can save in any drive, but uh, right now you try to save in bin only. I'll tell you later why it is. So you have to save the file in bin folder. So once you save the file, so next thing you have to say Java C. So Java, the word Java C is the compiler. So in front of the Java C, that is after writing Java C, you have to write the name of the file. That is example dot Java. In this way, we have to write. Before this, the thing is, when you go to the command prompt, I hope you know how to go to the command prompt. So go to start. So you can say run, go to run. Then you can type CMD and press enter. So if you do like this, you'll go to the command prompt. Okay, in PC. So once you go to the command prompt, so according to the system settings, it will be there. In some cases, like documents and settings or something, users, like this. Depending on your system settings, documents and settings, or desktop, something will be there. Like this it will be there. Okay, or else your name, if you have kept your name, like that will be there. So once you come to this point, you just type cd backslash. So when you type cd backslash, so this will appear, c colon, this will appear. So that only they have showed in screen, c colon slash angle bracket. Okay, that will appear. So this is called as root directory. So once you come to this point, then what you can do is, you see, next line I will show, c colon cd, you have to type jdk 1.3 or 4 or 5 something. Okay, when you say this cd jdk 1.3 and press enter. Okay, so once you do this, next thing it will be like this: c colon jdk 1.3, like this will be there. Again, for this you can type cd bin. Cd means change directory. C colon, so it will appear like this: jdk 1.3 slash bin, like this. Okay, so once you come across this line, then you can execute the Java program. Understood, right, these things? So when you open the command prompt, in this way it will be there. Okay, uh, depending on the settings, sometimes c colon backslash user settings or desktop or your name, something will come. Then cd backslash, if you type, so it will appear like this on the screen. Then you can type like this: cd jdk 1.3 or whatever the version you have, that you have to type and press enter. Again you have to say cd bin, so and press enter. Then it will appear like this. Okay. So then C colon JDK 1.3 bin Java C example.java. These things you note down. Okay, let us go to the screen. Uh, so just listen here. The output of Java C is not the code that can be directly executed. It is not executable code. To run the program, you must use the Java interpreter called Java to do so. Pass the class name example as a command line argument as shown below. Okay, and so see here you listen when in case of C and C++, if you press Control F9 or if you go to the run menu and if you click on the run button, directly it will execute. But in case of Java, it will not execute like that. So when once you type Java C example.java, the code will be compiled, but it is not executed. Okay. So then what you have to do is you have to say Java space example. So instead of writing dot Java, you have to write example. Only class name you have to write. So that is this is the class name. Example is the class name. That one you have to write here. Java example. Then you will get this output. This is a simple Java program. Okay. So when you execute the program, you tell afternoon or evening you can execute the program. If you have any doubts, you can message me. The group send a message. So try to execute the program today. Okay, by remembering these two commands. You note down these two commands, Java C example.java, Java and example. You note down these two commands. In the afternoon or in the evening, whenever you have free time, you execute the programs and you can message me. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So you note down these steps. Just these two lines you can note down. Java C example.java, then Java example, then out. Finished?
Yes, sir.
Hmm. See, we will see how Java programs are compiled and what happens when the Java programs are compiled. Okay. So here they are telling compiled. Okay. Then interpreted. So two things will happen. One is compilation and another one is interpretation. So one is compilation, another one is interpretation. So after the compilation of Java source code, each individual class is put into its own output point. I will explain about this point. Just listen. See, Okay, listen here. See, when we compile the Java program, so what happens is, see, Java program starts with class. Okay, I have written like this class example. Inside this, I have written the main method. So one thing you have to remember. So when you write the Java classes, so you see that in one of the class you are writing main function. For example, return. That means after this some code is there. So println or some calculations are there. So once we write like this, so this for this the file name will be file name is example dot java. So for this the file name is a little bit disturbance is there. Mute it wherever the disturbance is there. Press mute button, please. Okay, listen. See here, if we consider this as the program class example, main method is there. File name will be example.java. So when we compile like this, that is Java C. So if I say example.java, after this command, what happens is, so one file will be created. That file name will be example.class. So telling in the PPT. Each individual class is put into its own output file. The meaning of that is, so when you compile the program, this example.java is the source code. So I can tell this. This is the source code, and this will be converted to byte code. So source code will be converted to byte code. So that byte code is nothing but example.java. So this is the byte code. Okay. So when you write the programs, first you have to say Java say example.java. After the compilation, we get the file called as example.class. That you have to remember, example.class. After that, we have to write Java. Only this one you have to write example. So this word we have to write example. We should not write .java. Okay. So we are using this file for execution. So example.java we are using for compilation. Then example.class we are using for execution. So after this, here we will get to the output. Whatever the output is there, here we will get. Understood, right? So
Yes, sir.
example.java is the source code. Example.class is the byte code. So when example.class is created, when example.java file is compiled. Okay. So this is the output file. Example.class is the output file. That itself is not the output. That you have to remember. Notice example.class itself is not the output. So this is a file. So what type of file it is? Output file. The PPT they are saying each individual class is put into its output file. The name of this output file will be after the class which uses dot class extension. So I have written example dot class. That is the extension of that file name. Example is a class name dot class. That is the extension. After that, when we type Java example, we'll get an output finally. So interpreted. You should specify the name of the class one interpreter to execute. See that only. Name of the class is example. So it will automatically search for a file by that name that has dot class extension. Okay. So here two files will be there. Dot Java extension file, dot class extension file. Dot Java extension file is the source code. Dot class extension file is the byte code. So when we get the dot class file, when .java file is compiled, that you remember, when .java file is compiled, we get the .class file. Okay. And when .class file is executed, we will get the output file. Got this point? Everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
Okay. Once again, I
Yes,
tell
sir.
.java file is a source code, .class file is a byte code. So to execute the Java programs, first we have to use .java file. For that, you have to write Java C. So for that you have to write Java C example.java, that is the source code. Once it is compiled, example.class file is generated. So I can say it is generated. Then this file we have to use for next, that is Java example.class file. That name you have to specify example. Then you will get the output. Okay. So you can copy this PPT. It's very, very important. And in further programs, this explanation will not be there. Only in the first program. So you have to understood directly. So first program explanation is more. That is, it may take half an hour. In further programs, those explanations again it will not be there. So I have to understand directly. So note down these steps. See, while class is going on, if you have any doubts, you can message in WhatsApp so that I will look into the WhatsApp and I will clear your doubts. So unmute and then you can speak if it is mute option. Finished writing?
Yes, sir.
Hmm. So here also you can note down if you want. So example, you can note down in this way. Example.java is the source code. Example.class is a bytecode, that is the file. And even this is also file. So example.java is a file. Example.class is a file. So difference is example.java is a source code. Example.class is a bytecode. Example.class is generated by example.java only. Uh, example.class for that file source is example.java. These 2 points you can note down. Source code, that is the file. Bytecode, that is also file. It is generated. Finished?
Yes, sir.
So detailed explanation of the program is there. A closer look at the first simple program. So later, some of the things you have copied already. So just you look into the PPT. The program begins with the lines. This is a simple Java program. So here slash is missing. So this is a comment. Comments are ignored by the compiler. The comment used above is a multi-line comment. Multi-line comments may be one line, two lines, or the next line of the code in the program is class example in brace. So I think you have written the program in the notes, right? Everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You look into that program so that you can catch this explanation. So the next line of code in the program is class example. So class is a keyword, example is a class name, that is an identifier. Starting of the curly braces, that is starting of the class, the way we use in C and C++. Next line in the program is single line comment. Your program begins with a call to main. This is the second type of comment supported in Java. So these things, I hope so you have not copied this because I have explained already. So keywords, public specifier are written already in the notepad. I think you have noted down there. So then, the screen, a single line comment begins with two forward slash and ends at the end of the line. The next line of code is public static void main. See, this is very, very important line in Java programs. In interview also, they will ask this question. So 99% they will ask the question, why we have to use public static void main? So that instead of that, only we can use main or void main. So here we have the answer for that. Say execution begins by calling main. This is just like C and C++. So C program, C++ program, and in Java, one of the category of Java programs will starts execution by main. There is another category called applets in Java. Their main function will be not there. So right now we will understand in this way, that is Java programs will execute by calling the main function. And this main function is called by operating system in case of C and C++, as well as in case of Java. So, but in case of Java, between operating system and the main method, there is one more software called as JVM, Java Virtual Machine. So I think in introduction to Java, we have discussed first two or three slides, I think. Okay, JVM, okay, Java Virtual Machine. That is the interpreter. Java Virtual Machine is the interpreter which will call the main method. So when Java interpreter, that is JVM, will call the main method. So here we have the restriction. So that restriction is, it is not like C and C++. In C and C++, in C++, if we are not writing the program using object, so we can call the main method directly. And in C language also, we are calling the main method directly, main function directly. That is operating system will call. But here in Java, main method is called by JVM. That point you have to remember. So that JVM is an interpreter. So when it calls the main method, so there is some restriction, there is some rule, boundary. So what is that boundary is, I will tell you, the main method, you just look at the notepad, main method is present inside the class. That itself is restriction. Okay. So when we have discussed, okay, still 10 minutes is there, you just listen, afterwards again it will reconnect. So when we have discussed about encapsulation, I hope you are remembering the concept of encapsulation. So whatever we write data and code inside the class, that concept is called as encapsulation. Encapsulation concept is supported in Java. So here main method is included in the class itself. So you just look at the notepad, starting of the class and ending of the class. This itself is acting like a security. Okay. When you write in opening brace and closing brace, this itself is acting like a security. This secured code. Nobody can use this outside the class. Getting it right? So when you write the program inside the class, okay, that means it is providing the security. That code cannot be used outside the class. But now interpreter should call the main method which is present inside the class. So interpreter is outside the class. It is not inside the class. Interpreter software which is outside the class, that is JVM, Java Virtual Machine. So this is outside the class, but it should call the main method, which is not possible because it is present inside the class. So for this purpose, what we have to do is whenever a method is present inside the class and if it is to be called outside the class. So remember this point. Whenever a method is present inside the class and if it is to be called outside the class, we have to declare that method name by the keyword public. If we use the access specifier public, then you can call this method outside the class. So outside the class, JVM will call this method. So explanation is that only. Public is a keyword and an access specifier. When a class member is preceded by public, then that member may be accessed outside the class in which it is defined. So here main method is present inside the class, interpreter is present outside the class. Interpreter should call the main method. So in order to call the main method which is present inside the class, you have to write the main method by using the keyword public. Then it is possible to access outside the class. So here they are given public members is accessed by the code outside the class, whereas private members cannot be accessed outside the class. So instead of writing public keyword, if you write private for the main method, you will get an error that you can test it. Then see, since main is called by an interpreter when the program is being executed, so it is declared as public. Understood, right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
What did you write? Why
Yes,
you
sir.
have declared keyword public for the main method? Okay. So
Yes, sir.
in simple words, once again I tell, main method is present inside the class. Whenever a method is present inside the class, that method cannot be accessed outside the class because of the security. So if I want to call that method, if we declare by the keyword public, then we can call. So here interpreter is outside the class. That interpreter will call the main method. So in order to call the main method, if that method is declared by the keyword public, then we can that interpreter can access the main. Okay. So you can write this explanation till the word public you write about static again tell. You note down this. ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ access ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ.
ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ನೇಮ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕೀವರ್ಡ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿದೆ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕು
Class name.
ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ನೇಮ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಸರ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಅಂತ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್
Private.
ಸ್ಟಾಟಿಕ್ ವರ್ಡ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ
ಹ್ಮ್.
ಬರ್ದಾಗ ಸರ್ ಇದು ಇಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿಟರ್ ಇದು ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್
ಇರುತ್ತೆ.
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಎರರ್ ಇಲ್ಲದ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಇಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿಟರ್
ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಅಂತ ನೋಡಿ.
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಅಂತ
ಮಾಡಿ ಇಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿಟರ್ನ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಇಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿಟರ್ನ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರೋದು. ಅವರು ಡಿಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಮೋರೋವರ್ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಅಂತ ಡಿಕ್ಲೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ವೇರಿಯಬಲ್ ಆರ್ ಮೆಥಡ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನಾಟ್ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಔಟ್ಸೈಡ್. ಇಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿಟರ್ ಬಿಡು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮಲ್ಲಿ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಯ್ತಾ. ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮಲ್ಲಿ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನಾಟ್ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. Finish writing?
Yes, sir.
So you have understood, right, why we have to use the keyword public for main method? All of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
sir.
we get an interview question on this. Just they will write this line on the paper and they will tell you to explain why we have to use public, why we have to use static, why we have to use void, and the method main. So now coming to the static, you will see why we have to use the static. Okay. So before that, some explanation I will give about this thing. See, listen. So in case of C++ also, when I write class like this, say for example, class ABC, okay, and inside this, if I say like int, okay, int A, then say 100 for void input something. Okay. Okay. So listen. So this class I have written. Okay. Whether you can consider in Java or C++, doesn't matter, but it is a class. Now, next thing is, say, for example, in the main function, if I want to call this input method, input function, so what I will do is, so here, first I have to create the object in the main function. See, I hope you are familiar with C++ class and objects. You people. So there is a chapter called class and objects in Java also. There again I will tell in detail. But right now to understand the first program, so this much knowledge you should have. So in the main function, I use this class name to create an object A. Okay, this is I'm speaking about C++, not about Java. So when I declare this object, then what I can do is, if I want to call the function input which is present inside the class, I can say a dot input. Okay, like this I can call the function. So I hope you know about calling function, called function, method, function call statement. What happens if we call a function? Those things. So if you have forgot
Yes, sir.
those concepts, today only we have to go through functions concept. You have to go through. Okay. So in this way, I will call the function. So I think this concept you know now. Okay. Any doubt in this concept? Anybody? So when you write a function inside the class, this point you remember, when you write a function inside the class, if you want to call that function in the main function, okay, then you have to create the object of this of that class. ABC is a class name, A is an object. Then you have to say A dot input. This is the general concept. Okay. The same concept if we apply for the main method here, this main method, if I apply, so interpreter should do like that only. Interpreter should create an object of example